Hey Pete, how you doing today?
Hey Kyle, I'm doing awesome.
Awesome. Hey man, I had a couple of questions for you regarding down payments.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so obviously I talked to a lot of people who would be first-time home buyers, and that main hurdle that they struggle with is that large sum of money, for down payment. And they have questions. Are there options that are available to them, and do they need to have a huge amount of money saved to buy their first home?
Well, huge is relative, but
Sure.
no.
Okay.
They really don't need to have a huge amount of money. It's all relative, I would say. But here's what I really think is that the bottom line is everybody should have a little cushion there to fall back on.
Sure.
But when it comes to buying a house, I think everybody wants to promote home ownership. And so there are organizations out there, some of them are nonprofits, some of them are government backed, but they offer money for down payment and closing costs that are available on specific properties, which is most of the properties in our area, believe it or not.
Really? How would I get my hands on this information about,
Well, the easiest way, of course, would be to call me.
Right.
Right?
So that's something that a real estate professional would have access to?
Of course. It's actually in MLS, the Multiple Listing Service.
Okay.
When we do a home search and we pull up an actual listing, across the top there's a bunch of buttons on there that we can click on, and one of them has behind it the programs available. It tells us how much it is, what are the catches, if there's a catch to it. And what that money can be used for. And most of the time, in fact, I haven't seen anything different than the money being used for either down payment or closing costs or both.
Okay.
Depending on the program and depending on how much money it is.
Now, let me ask you this. Are these state and federal programs both?
They are, I'm not sure I would say that I know the answer to that, Kyle.
Okay. So what's exactly if we saw appreciation in certain markets, what relative if I bought my first home, what kind of appreciation, what kind of equity could I see in the first couple of years of home ownership?
Can I answer that my way?
Sure.
Let me tell you this. So if you're paying rent right now, and if you're paying, say $1,500 a month for rent, for a 2 or 3 bedroom, either a house or an apartment with 2 baths, if you're paying that for 12 months, that's a lot of money. That's like $18,000. But if you're paying that for 5 years, that's like $90,000. And you know how much return on that investment you get?
Big fat zero. Nothing.
Nada. Zero. Nothing. However, if you buy a house and your mortgage payment is $1,500, part of that is going to be insurance and homeowners insurance, but most of it is interest.
Sure.
And so that interest is tax deductible.
Right.
And I'm not an accountant, and I can't give you tax advice, but I can tell you that the fact that initial few years is almost all interest means that you can write that off and put more money in your pocket every payday.
Yep.
So you're getting more money from your job. And then look at this. If you buy a $250,000 house, I just did the math on this, a $250,000 house, and if you figure a very even 6% appreciation year over year compounded.
That's typical in Tampa's market.
Yeah, that's very, very typical
it's
in
a
our market.
Conservative estimate, right?
What's going to happen is that going into your 6th year in that house, so having lived there for 5 full years, you will have earned just over $100,000 on your investment.
And that's an equity in the property already.
So you have your choice. You can rent for nada. You can own for the same price for $100,000. Which one do you want to do?
That's a pretty obvious choice.
Exactly.
So get it together, and call a real estate agent today and figure out. Right. If people needed to call you, they had some more questions. How can they get a hold of you?
Call me or text me at 813-514-5771.
Perfect. Thanks, Pete.
All right, Kyle. Thank you, buddy.